And the grossest one,
Here we go.
which I think you know
Here we
where I'm going with
go.
this,
Oh, I've seen the
is
stories.
Testicle.
I did just take a sip right after that. Perfect. Okay. Well, let's back up. What are the big health benefits from the heart that you found, or that you've researched too? Or like, what have you felt from that?
Yeah, and heart. That's actually like a great question because heart, I noticed personally a big impact.
Oh, Jeff Bilski.
What's going on? How we doing?
Welcome, man. I've got two. This is the second Jeff, back to back. Episode 7 with Jeff Black. Episode 8 with Jeff Bilski. Couldn't be more happy with that.
You know what's funny is my name in Polish, it actually means white. So it's like it was meant to be.
Perfect. Perfect. How are you doing, man?
Man, I couldn't be better.
Yeah.
Couldn't be better.
What's going on?
Just living the dream, working out, drinking some yerba mate.
Yeah, let's dive into that. So what are we drinking?
So I'm doing yerba mate, and I also put a green tea in there too. There's different things like inside yerba mate and green tea that are not in other sources of caffeine like coffee. And I just find the combination gives me the right mental boost, a lot of benefits.
Okay. What's the science behind it? You want to go deeper into that?
So with yerba mate, there appears to be a dopaminergic effect that is protective on the dopamine receptors. And I mean, you're familiar with dopamine and the benefits. So it's like everything you do in life is going to give you a dopamine hit. If it's something you enjoy or something that's like if you eat a good food, if you go outside, you work out, you do something you enjoy, play guitar, it's going to give you a dopamine hit. So there's receptors that take that dopamine and then give it its effect. And yerba mate appears to have a protective effect on that, according to Andrew Huberman. Shout out to him.
Yeah, that guy is a wealth of knowledge, for real. So I did not brew mine, but I've got the, it's the same brand, the Guayaki Organic. I know I'm butchering that, but shout out Guayaki, give me a sponsor. Tropical Uprising, 60 calories in a can. So, yeah,
that's not too bad.
Huh. It's interesting. Yeah, I like it, but I don't know what to call it. Like, I don't know what to, I don't know what flavor this is, but it's super good. It
tastes like a tropical uprising.
Potentially, maybe a few other things mixed in there.
Let's make it happen.
But dude, let's start with how we met. This is probably one of the funniest things ever. I remember sitting in my psychology class, junior year of high school, maybe senior year of high school. I think it was senior year. I always took the AP class because I wanted to get out of the final exam and just mess around with kids because I didn't want to be in a normal class. I just felt like I sounds so bad, but I feel like I was better than that. But I didn't do well in the class, so I probably should have been in the normal one. But I was sitting there on Twitter looking at people that hashtag like Guild Wars or whatever, which is you're now like for real. I feel like I meet everyone through that game. Just looking at hashtags, found you, followed you, like shot you a message, and ever since then we've just been boys.
I know, it's crazy. Like I've known you longer than some of my friends. Like currently, it's like some of my close friends.
Yeah.
That I hang out with all the time, and it's pretty crazy, man. The power of the internet. It's something to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and now we're here. You know, we've met a couple times. First time you came out here when you were on a family vacation to get a cookout, and went to a really trashy mall. That was a fun time. And then you came to my wedding, which was amazing. I'll forever grateful for that, man.
It was a great time. Honestly, bro, that was like one of the best weddings I ever been to.
I appreciate that. We wanted it to be fun for everybody. Way too much food. Way too much.
That was the best part. That was the best part.
Well, I hope you took some home. But yeah, so we have been, like you said, friends for a long time, but like we connect on just more than like a gaming level, right? Or we talk a good bit. Like we connect on fitness, health, like politics, religion, like almost like you connect almost all the dots. You're just a lot taller than me. That's about it. And you got some hair.
Man, I ate my green beans growing up. That's about it.
But you've gone deep into the health realm of carnivore diet and actually partaking in eating organ meat. So
Yep.
take me through like the Jeff that wasn't doing that and what made you do that and now how that's affected you.
Well, I've always been interested in health and fitness. And I mean, for me, it's always been, I mean, of course, everybody wants to look good, but for me, it's about feeling good too. Like I want to be, in order to do the best that I can do in life, whether it's in my career or my hobbies, my relationships, you got to be 100%, and the mind and the body is all connected. So I always realize, like, if I take good care of my body, my mind's going to be operating the best that it can.
Yeah.
So, like you're probably the same way where you've learned things over the years and it's led you down different paths, different dieting things, different supplementation. But I guess learning about, like we talked about Jordan Peterson and Paul Saladino is a big one. We're just learning that, like, what is an evolutionarily consistent diet for human beings, at least in the sense that, like, what kind of foods are we designed to be eating? And you look at the history of humans, we've only, modern society has existed for maybe 1,000 years. I mean, that depends
Mm-hmm.
on how you want to define modern society. But most of our history has been hunter gatherers. And the foods that we would prize were not vegetables. I mean, you never would see a hunter gatherer. I mean, you can see this even today. You look at like indigenous tribes. They're not prizing eating leaves. They're prizing eating animals in a hunt,
Yeah.
and more specifically, they prize the organ meats on the animal. So hearing people talk about that just got me really interested. And then, of course, you go on the internet, you research some of the stuff, some of the different nutrients that are found in organ meats, and it's amazing. Like so many people are not getting nutrients that are important to us that we use in our body, because they're not eating, organ meats or eating sufficient amounts of meat as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a ton of different. It's a big rabbit hole to go down, but there's a lot to get into there.
So let's unravel it. So what all have you had as far as organ meats go?
Dude, I've done. So I mean, liver is, everyone knows, like the liver king. Um,
Yep.
it's important because there's pretty much all your B vitamins are in there. Vitamin A. A lot of people don't realize that vitamin A is really only found in animal foods like liver. People think like carrots, you're going to get vitamin A. There's actually zero vitamin A in carrots. There is a precursor called beta carotene. And some people are better converters at it to vitamin A. Some people are very bad at converting it to vitamin A. But liver is very nutritionally packed. I've also had heart. I think heart's also a very powerful one.
Gross.
Well, you say that, but heart is actually delicious. It's
Really?
one of the, yeah, if you like steak, you will love heart.
How do you like your steak?
Medium rare.
Okay. So, okay.
How do you like your steak?
Medium well, medium-ish. I'm kind
Okay,
of
well, we
weird.
can make heart medium well. We can do that.
When I come up there, I'll give it a shot. You have my word. This is going up on the internet, so.
All right. I'm going to make you the Jeff specialty, uh, medium well beef heart.
All right, perfect. We'll tell me more about the heart.
But yeah, other than the heart, I've tried kidney. Kidney's pretty good too. It's nutritionally pretty similar to liver. So, I mean, there's going to be some compounds in kidney that you're not going to find in liver. But as far as like vitamins and minerals, pretty much the same. And the grossest one,
Here we go.
which I think you know
Here we
where I'm going with
go.
this,
Oh, I've seen the
is,
stories.
is testicle.
I did just take a sip right after that. Perfect. Okay. Well, let's back up. What are the big health benefits from the heart that you found? that you've researched too? Or like, what have you felt from that?
Yeah, and heart. That's actually like a great question because heart. I noticed personally a big impact because there's a nutrient called coenzyme Q10.
Yep.
You're familiar with. It's
CoQ10.
getting
Yep.
a lot of popularity. It's typically I guess advertised as a heart supplement, which is kind of it's interesting because it's like this is a supplement that is found in heart meat that is very beneficial to the heart. It's found in large quantities in heart meat, but that's the biggest one. It's a vitamin-like compound. Um, but yeah, that's found
Hmm.
abundantly in heart meat. There's also you're going to get anything else you're going to find in animal meats. You're going to find it also in the heart. There's different fatty acids. I can't think off the top of my head, but a lot of people don't realize that within the context of saturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, monounsaturated fats, there's different types of fats. I think CLA is the one I want to say, but don't quote me on that. And that's actually been linked to like fat loss, but
Hmm.
that's found,
Yep.
I believe, abundantly in heart meat as well. So just there's different nuanced new types of nutrients found in different types of meat and organ meats.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, testicles. What have you felt from that? That feels pretty weird to say. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, if you try testicle meat, I noticed, and like I've talked to other people who tried it, it's like once you consume it, you almost instantly notice like you got this shot of testosterone. Like, whoa, I feel really good.
Hmm.
And like it's all those kind of qualities you associate with high testosterone. Like you're going to feel confident. I've had some great lifts after consuming testicle meat, but I mean, there's a lot of science behind it. There's a good quantities of zinc inside testicle meat. Zinc is associated with testicular function in humans. In testosterone, some people will take a zinc supplement if they're trying to boost their testosterone. And there's always going to be these like peptide like compounds in organ meats that can be used in the body to like I was getting off the heart meat that can be associated with the organ that like you're consuming. So if you're consuming testicle meat and it has these peptides and these different types of amino acids that are also found in your testicles, well, that's going to support that function. But there's
Hmm.
definitely a little bit of testosterone that you're going to get when you consume it.
Nice, nice. So how do you eat all this stuff? Like, how do you space it out during your daily diet?
Well, I'll be honest, lately, I haven't been consuming the meat itself. I've been supplementing with like desiccated organ supplements.
Okay.
And I mean, I think, I don't want to say it's just as good, but it's definitely, you're going to find a benefit if you don't do it. But it's more of a convenience thing. It's for me to, where I'm at in Pittsburgh, if I want to purchase this kind of stuff, I got to go drive down to the city and deal with all the traffic downtown. It's just a hassle. So it's a
Yeah.
lot easier and more convenient just to supplement with the capsules, the freeze dried organ capsules. But I definitely prefer to actually eat the physical meat. But I think it's important not so much to be consuming things like that every single day, but to get like your weekly amount of that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. So how much testicle did you eat in a week?
I think one if you consume one testicle a week, you're going to be getting a good amount of benefits. You're going to be feeling the effects.
How'd you
But
cook it? Did you eat it raw or did you cook it?
no, I don't eat it raw. I don't do anything like that. I'm simple. I cook. I think I get a good quality butter, a grass fed butter. Put some salt on there, some Himalayan pink salt, maybe a little bit of garlic.
Hmm.
I'm a simple guy though. I don't need any crazy seasonings, but you can cook it however you want.
You're a simple guy eating organ meat, yeah. So, like, I've always wondered how many people like took the hit for us, like before we knew to really cook meat, right? Like, how many people ate this stuff, and maybe that's just how our bodies have evolved over time to not be able to process the raw meat like maybe what once was. But I mean, there's a lot of people that do eat that stuff raw, that still eat raw meat. I mean, when I was working at the grocery store several years ago, these guys would just like take a handful of like ground chuck and just throw it in their mouth. I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like, this is disgusting.
Yeah,
I
Yeah, I
just,
mean it's interesting.
yeah, it is. I've always had those weird shower thoughts, where it's like, I wonder how many people died knowing that we needed to cook cow heart. Like, who knew? But then again, those ancient tribes, they probably didn't cook that. They probably just ate it, and their bodies were probably able to process it because we've evolved so much over time.
I think there's a lot to dive in there. You look at, why do we need to cook chicken meat?
Don't ask me.
Because
So we don't get sick.
everybody hears salmonella, right? There's
Yeah.
salmonella in chicken meat, so that's why you can't eat chicken medium rare. But steak you can eat medium rare, and actually, where I'm from, Pittsburgh, there's something we call Pittsburgh rare, which is charred on the outside and basically raw on the inside. People go crazy for it here. I
Mm.
personally I like it that way too. But there's so you look at like why does there salmonella associated with that? And it's largely because of the farming practices.
Hmm.
So like if you have salmonella and you got a bunch of chicken confined in a small space, they're going to spread that. And obviously chicken or salmonella is not something fun to have. And I don't know if you ever had it, but it's
I've not. No. Have you?
I've had food poisoning. I don't
Yeah.
know if it was salmonella, but not good, right?
Yeah. It's
So
brutal regardless. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so what I'm thinking is like it's largely due to the farming practices. If you eat a wild animal, there's definitely risk associated with that, parasites and stuff like that. But the odds of if you ate a wild chicken, you're probably not going to get salmonella from it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So there's different things there. Uh, what you said, like people, like how many people had to die from
Yeah.
eating something raw or something before they found out, oh, maybe we should cook this. It's like
Yeah.
I think about too, like with mushrooms, right? Like
Yeah.
when people
True.
eat mushrooms, I mean, most mushrooms are going to kill you if you eat them. So like, how many
That's
people are
crazy.
just trying like picking mushrooms off of pieces of crap and like then they pass out, they die, or something else, they
Yeah.
get high.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True. So, what made you start looking into more of the ancient? What's the word I want to use?
Ancestral.
Yeah, ancestral methods of benefiting your health. Was it just like Huberman that you or Jordan Peterson, or was it like you wanted to just find something else on your own?
Well, like obviously people like Huberman, Peterman, or Peterson, they're definitely their testimonials and stuff. Like it makes sense, and you look up to them for other reasons, and so you take what they say seriously. But I think just it makes sense that like look, humans have only been civilized for like we were talking about like maybe 1,000 years, and it depends on how you want to define civilization. So most of our timeline would have been out in the wild, hunter gatherer. It makes sense that we are adapted for more that type of uh, lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to optimize the body, then think about like how is the body evolved? How is the body adapted around like what sort of factors and what sort of foods, what kind of stuff, if we went, a good example is you look at like bread and wheat and I have celiac, so I have an issue with
Do you
gluten.
really?
Yeah.
I feel like I knew that, but I don't remember that for some reason. Because my
I
dad
have a
has
weird
it
case
too.
of it too. Really?
Yeah. So funny story. You know, for people that don't know, celiac is an autoimmune disease, allergic to gluten. But yeah, it got triggered whenever our gym burned down, and that was such a stressful moment. It's when that's when autoimmune stuff really starts to take its grasp on you. And my dad didn't know about it for probably see that happened in 91. I was born in 94, and he didn't know about it till probably seventh or eighth grade for me. So whatever age that is, 10 to 12. So he was battling it for a long time. I mean, and he had a lot of symptoms, and it led into other things, but no one knew what it was at the time. No one. That was such a I don't even know the right word to use. No one thought it was a thing. No one thought you could be allergic to bread or pasta or what is this thing called gluten? Like no one's heard of that. So I remember going to the early meetings of all that stuff and seeing some of the first brands like Energy come out with crackers and taking those crackers into the restaurant and everything. But yeah, I mean it's brutal on the body and people don't realize that. And that's something I want to get into in a little bit as well, because there's a lot of differences between celiac disease and just some intolerances and a fad, right? But go ahead. Sorry, I kind of took the reins on that one. Go
No,
for it.
man, totally. And that's like with your dad, the risk, like people who don't know they have celiac and they go years and years and years without it. Well, what happens is that's just slowly, it's kind of like if you were, if most people are allergic to poison ivy, right? You go
Mm-hmm.
out and if you go out and you roll around a poison ivy, you're going to get rashes all over your skin. If you continually do that and every single day you're just rolling around poison ivy, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Well,
Yep.
that's essentially what's happening to the inside of your gut lining.
Mm-hmm.
So people start getting nutrient deficiencies. I
Yeah.
know iron, like people go anemic. That's a big one. So yeah, it's definitely it's not something good to not know about for a while. But if you can figure it out, then it's easy to reverse.
Yeah. I mean, my dad showed a lot of strange symptoms of that. But what's your case? I know you said it was a little bit different.
I've always had gastrointestinal like issues, I guess. Not really. I shouldn't say issues, but like IBS. Like a lot of people have
Yeah.
IBS
Yeah.
today, and that's kind
Blanket
of a catch-all
term.
thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I guess like for me, I would actually eat something like bread or pasta, and if anything, it would like thicken my stool instead
Mm-hmm.
of making it like a looser thing.
Yeah.
So I never really thought much about it. But one time I was just in the doctor and I was talking about stuff like IBS. He's like, "Have you ever been tested for celiac?" I'm like, "No, I never had issues with bread that I was aware of." And so he ran the test on me, and they're like, "Yeah, you definitely got it. Like antibodies. I think it's like IgG is the one they test for, through the roof."
Hmm.
So and I was like, "Well, why? Because I've never. It's not like I'll eat a piece of bread and just feel like crap." He said, "Yeah, but what's going on is it's slowly like if you're continually doing that, it's just destroying the gut lining. So you might have some of it. You might feel a little bit bloated, but then it's just like hurting how your body can digest other foods as well."
Yep. Dude, the gut is such a powerful thing. I mean, 80% of
Yeah.
our immune system's there. It's linked to the brain. People don't treat it well at all, which, like you said, everything you take a holistic approach. You want to be good physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. And to do that, and that starts with what we consume. And when you slowly start tearing away that gut lining and beating that thing up, you will pay the price. Might not be the next day or a month or a year, but at some point it will happen. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think everybody's different too. Like some people, I know some bodybuilders that can just down food and they don't really have issues, and there's other people, they're just forcing protein down their mouths to
Mm-hmm.
try to get enough, and trying different things like hot sauces in order for it to taste good, and they're just feeling like crap. They're just pooping all the time,
Yeah.
and so everybody's different. But I wanted to ask you, do you take a probiotic?
No, I used to. Um, and I haven't. I've seen, whenever I had that gut issue in college, just went all over the place trying to figure it out. Um, and the more I work with coaches and learn more about it and had mentors around everything and realize that doctors can't tell me what's going on. They tell you have IBS and that's it. And just that you're nervous. Okay, well, yeah, I'm nervous because I just lost like 15 pounds in a week and a half and I can't eat. What's going on? Like, of course. Um, so I've taken it on and off for periods of time, but it's one of those things that I feel like celiac became a fad, right? Gluten free became a fad in a sense. Granted, it is sometimes healthier for people if they have an intolerance to eat in that manner, but it's like if it's not broke, don't fix it type deal. Where if I'm not having any issues, current state, then I probably don't need to throw anything else at it, right? So that's where I'm at now, where I've kind of taken things back down. Um, and working with my coach Alston, it's been really great having him kind of guide me through all this stuff. Where, and I've taken, the Garden of Life probiotics, the VSL number threes, like the loads of it, like everything. And to be completely frank, I never really felt like I got much out of it. What I think I got the most out of, just for gut health total, was like battling systemic stress and managing my stress levels. That has been the biggest thing to help me with anything. there's no telling what I had in 2015 and 16 with my gut, but luckily we've worked out of that, whether it was SIBO or Candida, we moved out of that. But battling the stress has been the biggest thing. But to answer your question, short, no, I don't take a probiotic right now. What about you?
Yeah, it's interesting what you said too with stress and anxiety. And I remember like talking to you during that time.
Oh yeah,
That was definitely a weird time in your life, bro. So glad you got through that and figured it out. But
yeah.
I think it's such an important thing. People don't, again, it goes back to everything's all connected, right? So like if you're constantly anxious and stressed about things, it's going to affect your gut, and it's like this positive feedback loop where it's affecting your gut. That affects how you absorb nutrients and how you digest foods. That goes back and affects the brain, and just this
Mm-hmm.
never-ending cycle. So that's a great point.
Do you take one?
I do not, but I'm interested in trying one. For a while, I was consuming a lot of Greek yogurt and
Mm-hmm.
kefir. I think that's how they pronounce it.
Kefir? Yeah.
Kefir, yeah. And I heard recently there's something with they found like a specific strain of a bacteria, like some kind of lactobacillus something, and it was associated. These men supplemented it, and it boosted their testicular function,
Hmm.
and so therefore things like testosterone, sperm, which I'm not trying to have a kid, but like it will. It supposedly like it will do that. So
Yeah.
I'm interested in trying it because it seems like there's
Yeah.
pretty good research on it.
Yeah. It's always interesting trying to optimize your body because we've seen throughout our lives, especially in like 2008 to 14, of seeing the like test boosters, and we went from like the Jack 3D pre-workout, which was like one of the
Oh
best
man.
things in my life. I mean, if anyone has any of that, I'll buy it from you. I don't care if it says it's expired. I'll figure out some way to make it right and drink it. But all the stuff that we see about, hey, yeah, this will boost tests, this will do that, this will get you jacked like all these guys. Like nothing will take you outside of the physiological range, like without taking, an exogenous dose of testosterone. Um, but I know we talked last week, was it, or the week before? We were just kind of discussing like how we've tried to boost our bodies naturally. And I think there is something to it over time. Like if you stack everything up together, like if you stack the diet, the sleep, this balancing stress, and like every other supplement you can think of, and all in tandem, and do it over a long period of time. I've seen the lab work. I've seen people increase their levels still within that range of the standard physiological range, but it's incredible what 200 points on like with your testosterone can do, and increasing your free test. Like that's huge because no one knows how bad they feel until they feel better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1,000%. I think too, like what you said is really important is optimizing it over a range of time. So like, yeah, if you're getting bad sleep and you're eating a crappy diet, you're not getting exercise, and your testosterone is down as a result, if you fix all those things, you will feel better. But if you do that over a period of time, and then you start adding the things like the supplementation, and all the little extra stuff we're talking about, maybe you take a thing of a probiotic, and that boosts your testicular function naturally. Well, all those little things they compound, and then over a period of time, it's going to have a more pronounced effect.
Yep. Now, do you eat any gluten at all?
Not, I don't. I try to totally avoid it. Yeah, so I
Have
don't
you
have any.
have you felt any differences from eating like an organic pasta or something like that versus a standard pasta from the store?
Um, so I haven't tried that. That's an interesting point though, because I've heard that like if you get a pasta that is grown from wheat in Italy, well, they have different types of regulations over there when it comes to farming and agriculture. And I've actually heard that it may have like less gluten, and it doesn't affect people, particularly people who are sensitive to gluten. It won't affect them as much. And that's really interesting. That just raises a whole other point too, is like the kind of food that we eat here that's produced in the United States, where it's genetically engineered to just grow as fast as possible and produce as much of a crop as possible. Maybe like gluten being more abundant in our wheat over here as a result of that. It's just something I've heard. I'm
Mhm.
not 100% on that, but I haven't tried to experiment with stuff like that. And actually, this sounds crazy, but I like having celiac because I can go. I'm trying to have a good diet. I try to avoid things like beer. I can't have beer anymore. But when somebody offers me something that, like when you go to your grandmother's house and she's like, "You need to eat. Have some cake, have
Yeah.
some cookie." Like, Grandma, I'm on a diet. I can't.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, I have an actual excuse. Like, I'm allergic to that stuff. So
Perfect.
I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. I've actually noticed I don't get bloated as much as I normally do eating a regular boxed pasta. If you get a good organic pasta, I'm sure there's still gluten in it, of course. It's not gluten free, but I don't have many issues. I mean, I'll bloat from certain things pretty easily. Like certain pastas, certain breads, I'll bloat. Like Dave's Killer Bread has been a really good one for me. Like their white bread bagels are phenomenal, dude. Oh my god. Like I just try one sometime. Just give yourself a little bit of wiggle room and try that. Even just half a bagel. Like I've
Okay.
not bloated from that at all. It's pretty interesting. Um,
What's it made with?
I could pull up an ingredients list and we could look at it real quick, but I've actually got some in the kitchen. I'll shoot you a picture of it afterwards. Um,
Okay.
and I do have a box of good organic pasta that I've tried that I really like, but I still try to eat rice pasta. Like Trader Joe's is the goat for all that stuff. Um, but now seed oils. Tell me what you think about
Seed
seed
oils.
oils.
Seed oils are definitely, it's popular now. Like everyone's like, avoid seed oils, makes you fat. Uh, it's interesting because, again, going back to evolutionarily, like the kind of fats that we would have been consuming, primarily from animal fats. Like, yeah, we might have got a little bit from fruits. Things like avocado have fat in them. But when you think about a seed oil, right? So that comes from a seed. Like they say something like, in order to make a tablespoon of corn oil, it's some astronomical amount of corn they need to mash in order to get that oil out of there, just to make a tablespoon of the stuff.
Hmm.
Like it might, I mean, don't quote me on this. It might be like 1,000 kernels of corn to make a tablespoon of corn oil. So that's just so impractical in the wild. Like you would never get the type of oil that's inside corn. You would never get a tablespoon of that stuff because you would have to munch on 1,000 kernels of corn, for example. And it's like that with any kind of seed oil. And it seems like it all originated as a byproduct, right? Because like in the United States, we produce a lot of corn and things like cottonseed oil is another one. And so we have all these leftover seeds. And it's like, well, what can we do with it? From what I understand, they used to use them as engine lubricants or like industrial lubricants.
Yep.
They're like, well, what if we can market this to the people and, make money off it that way? That'd be more profitable. So they started doing that. And then it became this whole thing with like, I'm sure you remember when you were younger, it was like, avoid saturated fat and
Yep.
cholesterol. It's bad for your heart. And now they're like, well, maybe not so much. There's different types, but it was always like margarine. That's the one that's better for your heart, and that's made with seed oils, hydrogenated seed oils.
Yeah, yeah. It's gross. Like when you really look at it for what it is, it's so processed. And I remember being in college and they were talking about like I had a whole class on childhood obesity, like a whole semester course on that. I'm like, okay, this is actually an epidemic. What the hell is going on? Like I'm gonna pay attention to this. This is interesting. And they talked about God, I don't remember who exactly it was, but big business, Coca-Cola, all the money, whatever, they, paid some Harvard guys to fake a study that fat's bad for you and sugar's fine. And while everything in moderation, sure, our bodies need fat. They get sugar from other things, but like we need fat. Fat is not the devil. Like that is one of the biggest disappointments I've ever seen come out in our country, like ever. That fat is bad for you, and that sugar, like
Yeah,
just pound away the sugar. Oh, just drinks a bunch of soda, like dude, it's killing you.
I mean, yeah, that's all great points, man. I mean, and even like you look at sugar. So like in the wild, evolutionarily speaking, the only access humans would have had to sugar was through fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And depending where you're at on the longitudinally, you're only gonna have fruit growing at a certain time of year. Latitude, I think. So that's like up and down, right? So like if you're
I
at the
couldn't tell
equator,
you.
you're gonna have, yeah, I think it's latitude because latitude's ladder, longitude's long. Yeah, so it's where
I
you're
like
at, the latitude. That's so if you're at the equator, you have fruit growing pretty much year round. But if you're up like where you and I are both of European ancestry, so like our ancestors would have had access to fruit only when it's growing, during the summer,
that. Hmm.
and so that'd be the only access they would have had to sugar. And even then, that's mixing with a matrix of fibers and vitamins and minerals, stuff like that. But with the seed oils, another interesting thing is whenever you consume fat, and like you said, we need fat for a plethora of
Yep.
reasons. There's things like hormonal function, repair, but your cell membranes, they're called a lipid bilayer. And a lipid just means fat, right?
Hmm.
So the type of fat that you consume gets put into your cell membranes. And so if you're consuming something like a polyunsaturated fat, which is like omega 6s and omega 3s, but seed oils are primarily polyunsaturated fats. And the thing with them is they go rancid easily.
Hmm.
So if you're consuming a lot of this type of fat and it's getting put inside your cell membranes, well, that's more susceptible to oxidization, right? You hear about like oils oxidizing. Like if
Yep.
you leave a stick of butter outside the fridge, it's not going to go bad. I mean, it's going to take a while to go bad.
Hmm.
And the reason for that is because it's a saturated fat. It doesn't oxidize easy. But if you leave out like some fish oil, they say like fish oils, you got to be careful, right? You got to keep them at a cool temperature because if you leave that on the heat, it's going to oxidize. And it's almost, they say oxidized fish oil is even worse for you than like
Terrible.
not consuming it at all.
Terrible for you.
So if you're consuming that kind of stuff, it's getting put inside your cell membranes. Well, what's that doing? There's been studies linked with like skin cancer
Hmm.
and the type of fat that you consume. So that's another thing is that seed oil might be causing skin cancer.
That's one thing, dude. I remember getting a Snapchat from you of like, cut out my seed oils, no sunscreen for like a week in Florida. Did you get burnt?
I got burnt a little bit in the beginning, just like a little bit,
Huh?
and it was better within a day. And then the rest of the week, I was fine.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much all summer I did that.
So do you try to cut out a lot of seed oils? Like, do you still take in olive oil or avocado oil or anything like that?
That's a great point, right? So olive oil and avocado oil, are those vegetables? No, they're not vegetables. They're the fruit. So they're actually fruit oils. And fruits are ancestrally consistent with like the kind of diet that we would have had, right? So olive oil, avocado oil, that's all fine.
Hmm.
And I mean, if you want, we get inside the reason for that too. The reason is because it's a lot of monounsaturated fat, which monounsaturated fat is more stable than polyunsaturated fat.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so I don't avoid olive oil or avocado oil. I think that's totally fine. I use whenever if I do make a salad, I'll put some olive oil on there. Totally fine. But I prefer butter and tallow to any other kind of fat for cooking.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, butter makes everything taste a little bit better too. I mean, Paula Deen's got something going on, dude. I mean, let's be real here.
Half a cup of butter. It's a secret ingredient.
So, what else do you do in your day to day to help optimize your health? Like liquids, for instance. Like, how much coffee do you drink in a day?
I actually haven't been drinking coffee,
Just have yerba
and
mate?
lately I've been doing the yerba mate and the green tea. Yeah, I like the taste of coffee,
Oh,
but I find that yeah, it's like it's. I mean, especially I put some heavy cream in there. Delicious. But I find that coffee makes me not feel as good. Like it does give you the caffeine and the energy from that, but there has to be other types of polyphenols or botanical compounds inside coffee because like I'll get kind of anxious, especially if I have it on an empty stomach. And I just find like I'm not as productive when I have coffee versus if I have green tea. Which green tea is interesting because it has L-theanine in it, which is it's a popular amino acid they're sticking in a lot of these energy drinks now.
yep.
And what it does is like, I mean, have you tried it?
I was
Taking
actually gonna
theanine?
bring that up. I take that with coffee. I definitely take that, and I always try to take it like a 2-to-1 ratio. Like I double the amount of caffeine, or excuse me, I double the amount of L-theanine to the amount of caffeine I'm taking, roughly. There's a great caffeine pill from My Nutrition. That is, I think I showed it to you. I think when we were on FaceTime. It was just it's called Ultra Caffeine. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But 50 milligrams of caffeine, 100 milligrams of L-theanine, and it's just consistent. You feel great.
Yeah, I have tried that with coffee, and it helps. Another one, Chris, that you need to try is taurine. Have you tried taking taurine with caffeine?
I haven't. I mean, but it's an energy drink, so I remember always hearing that growing up, like when monsters were a big thing. Oh, that's bull pee, like taurine. That's the
Bull
closest.
testicles.
Do what?
I think the original Red Bull that was like in Thailand, they got the taurine from bull testicles. I think so.
That's the closest I've ever gotten to eating like organ meat, right there.
There you go. Some moral of the story: drink your energy drinks.
Yeah, that's interesting. I do like green tea, but there is something special about that tasting coffee, and I feel like a lot of it comes down to like the beans you get too, right? Like we have a local coffee shop here that gets awesome beans in, and it's all just like very smooth, consistent, like caffeination, like I guess you could say. And I don't get any of the crazy blends either, like with the artificial flavoring. And I honestly just drink it black now, and I've noticed that makes me feel even better. I was like, I would just take in normal, like cream. I don't do the soybean oil, like what's that brand called? International Delight. Just is soybean oil and sugar. Like that's not cream. Give me some real
It's
cream.
garbage.
Yeah, it really is. It tastes good, but that's why it tastes good.
Oh yeah. So when you have your coffee, do you have it on an empty stomach or do you have it after you eat?
So I've actually tested this out quite a bit at work. I guess I'm kind of, what's the word I want to use? I get my routines, and I get almost like, God, what is the word I'm trying to find here? It is, if you don't do something, you're afraid something is not going to happen. Like if you keep doing it over and over and over. Oh my God, what is that word? I'm drawing this yerba mate is not hitting, dude. I need to think of these words.
Just chug a whole can. It'll help you.
I'm almost done.
Like FOMO?
No, not FOMO, but like, oh my God, I hope I can think about this before the end of the episode. But anyways, I feel like if I'm not drinking the coffee every morning, I'm not going to have a good day. Like it becomes so habitual. Like I get scared that I'm out of my routine. Like this is not good. So I've tried playing around with it. Like let me have it before my breakfast. Let me have it during my breakfast. Let me have it after my breakfast. And I've played around with the Huberman, hey, wait 45 minutes-ish to an hour after you wake to then drink your coffee. Cool. Tried that. I think that's okay, but me doing it before breakfast kills my appetite. And it, most of the time will mess my stomach up. Doing it during my breakfast, I've actually tried to cut out drinking a lot of liquids during because it'll mess with digestion. And I'll catch myself downing the coffee in the middle of the meal because I love the flavor of it. So really it's about, for me, the best way is I'll eat, wait about 25-30 minutes, like I'll have breakfast, drive to work, kind of get set up, and then I'll start drinking my coffee. And I'll drink
Okay.
probably about, like, in the coffee pot, about 2 cups ish is what I'll drink in the morning. So if that's about, was it like 50-60 milligrams per cup of coffee, so let's just say 120 milligrams of that, I'm taking about 200 milligrams of L-theanine with that, and I've found that just keeps me pretty level. But every now and then, I will get hit with that kind of that anxiety from that caffeine, and I get that a lot from energy drinks, loads from energy drinks, and I've cut those out completely. Like, I love them, I love the flavor, but man, they tear my stomach up, dude, and I feel pretty bad after an hour after I drink them, honestly.
Another thing with the energy drinks is the sugar. So, like, what kind of energy drinks have you tried? I mean, I agree. I think a lot of energy drinks are just crap.
I've tried, dude. There's not many I haven't. There's a time period when I was drinking like 2 or 3 cups of coffee in the morning and then like 2 monsters during the day at work because we were gonna. Oh yeah, it was terrible, but it was just like, oh, this tastes good. Oh, we're just gonna keep it moving. This is great. Um, we're slinging deals at work. Let's keep it moving. Let's drink another monster. Um, the sugar frees, I honestly mess my stomach up more from the artificial sweetener. I think Red Bulls with sugar, there's just so much sugar in them. Like I wish there was a middle ground that it makes me kind of just feel nasty afterwards. It doesn't give me that jolt of energy. Like this has 11 grams of sugar, and I honestly feel super good right now. Like I don't feel jittery. I feel good, man. I really like this stuff. I'm pretty jacked about this. I mean, everything is looks like it's pretty natural in here.
How much caffeine's in it?
Let's see, 150 milligrams. It's got the okay, so they have different
Pretty
levels.
solid amount.
This is the mighty level of caffeine.
It's a what?
The mighty. There's like 5 levels.
Oh, okay.
Light, bright, lifted, glowing, and mighty, and we are at mighty.
Yes, sir. We don't play around. 0 to 60. Let's go.
So, what about you? When you have your caffeine, do you have it before or after you eat?
I mean, so I would try. I still do is intermittent fasting, and
Oh,
I find
really?
that helps a. Yeah, I like it. I find that helps a lot with like especially in the morning. I'm just more on point. As soon as I eat something, I get kind of tired and lethargic and sluggish, and I noticed that like if I stick to more of a keto kind of first meal of the day, it's not as impactful, right? So like if I don't have any, if I when I have carbs associated with my first meal, it's going to make me more tired.
Mm-hmm.
But I just noticed that I'm more on point when I'm in a fasted state or in a ketogenic state. So I would maybe that's my problem with coffee is that I would have that on an empty stomach. But green tea, I guess actually, so I am breaking my fast when I have my green tea because I put a little bit of honey in there. But I don't think that's too bad. And I will have that though on an empty stomach. It doesn't give me any problems.
Yeah, I try to keep my nutrient timing pretty sound now of keeping most carbs around my workout. That's one thing that also my coach has been working on with me, and that's helped my insulin sensitivity like tenfold, especially here recently. Like I've been out of the gym consistently for so long, for over the past 4 years, off and on, that it's taken me so long to get back. When like, dude, 8 years ago it'd be 2 weeks. I'm back getting good pumps. I'm back filling out shirts again and everything. But it's taken some time. But now I finally hit that point where I feel like I'm really utilizing nutrients well. The carbs are going where they need to go. Everything's working so well. The blood's pumping, and it makes me more excited to do it. But I notice the same thing in the morning. If I have a more higher protein, higher fat based meal, I'm set for at least until about 11:30 when I eat my next meal. I'm just consistent. And then I stack the caffeine on top and it's just a rampage.
Yeah. How many meals a day do you have?
4 right now.
Okay. So you do like one as soon as you get up in the morning.
So that's tough. I do not do well if I eat as soon as I get up. Kind of habitual in that sense too, that like I'll go and I will either go on a run by myself in the morning or take the dogs for a walk, like as soon as I wake up. Um, do some other things like just read scripture, or been trying to do box breathing, which has been really interesting. It's very difficult. I guess that's my meditation I've been trying to do.
What's that?
So it's a pretty cool breathing method of breathing in for a certain amount of time, holding your breath for a certain amount of time, breathing out for a certain amount of time, and staying out for a certain amount of time. And from my understanding, you're supposed to keep it the same length each time. So you're almost like forming a box. So I'm like, I breathe in for 4 seconds, I hold it for 4 seconds, I breathe out for 4 seconds, and I stay out for 4 seconds. It's just a way for me to focus and count on my breathing and focus on breathing correctly and clear my mind of things. And I guess that's what meditation is. Just trying to control your mind, which has been pretty impactful if we want to talk about stress again. That helps. Doing something hard in the morning, like going for a run as soon as you wake up and it's raining and cold, or even just in general, if it's a beautiful day, it's still tough to go on a run in the morning. doing something difficult and then doing something to calm yourself down. Like I feel like you're tackling so much right in the morning that I get in a better place to eat. Like I almost feel like I kind of deserve that meal at that point, right? And my body's working. Like I'll pound some water after that run. I'll do a little bit before the run, and then after the run, pound that with like a lemon squeezed in it and some um, apple cider vinegar. I just still believe in that stuff. I know that's a 2012 thing, but if I eat too soon, I feel sick. It's too much on me at one time, like right after I'm waking up to really get digestion moving. Like I need to get my body moving first. What about you?
Yeah, dude, I think that makes a lot of sense too. If you want to take it back to the ancestral angle, I mean, in the wild, we would not have been able to get food unless we got up, got moving, and either gathered some kind of berry or fruit or something, or hunted an animal, right?
Yeah.
So I think it totally makes sense to do like what you're doing. And I personally, I don't uh, like when I do the intermittent fasting, I
Oh
won't
yeah,
eat
God.
until afternoon.
Yeah, yeah, that's
But
what you just said.
I like that idea, and I think I would like to try to start like maybe just get like a brief little workout in before I eat, because I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So what is your window that you eat in?
So I mean, it fluctuates. I'm not like a strict, uh, I guess, adherent to intermittent fasting, but I try to wait until at least the afternoon until I have my first meal. Sometimes, depending on the day, what I got going on, it will be right after noon. Sometimes it won't be until 3 in the afternoon.
Jeez.
Um, I mean, there's been days where I've gone pretty much all day just fasting, and if I'm really lasered into what I'm working on, uh, that's fine. And then something I try to practice is to not consume food like 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. There's science to suggest that that messes with like your circadian rhythm. So
Hmm.
I guess typically on an average night I'll go to bed like midnight. So usually I have my last meal by 9 o'clock. Sometimes 10, depends.
No, I've noticed that too, where it does kind of affect the my quality of sleep. Where if I eat too soon and I work out at night, and probably around 6 or 7 p.m. is what I've always done. I prefer that, and that's when I have my carbs. So serotonin spiking on that last meal, and I just knock right out for the most part. And I've tried doing that pretty close to bedtime, like within an hour, and then I've tried spacing it out. And if I do it like within that first hour, I'm gonna have the wildest dreams, and I'm gonna probably sleep pretty deep. But I catch myself like grinding my teeth and stuff during that time period more. I don't know why, but now I'm trying to back that up. I'm trying to work on that, and part of that stress too. Everything stresses and everything. And I actually just posted a supplement on my story today about that. Shout out to Ben Hartman with Morphogen Nutrition. Morphocalm is amazing. It's got theanine, ashwagandha, so many amazing things that really do help with stress support. And it's helped me almost diminish completely the teeth grinding at night, just to relax and get that good sleep. But it is weird, man. It's weird how we can train our bodies to eat during certain periods of time, and we're supposed to make this stuff work for us. Like food's meant to be enjoyed to an extent, but food is fuel. Like I, I spent way too long viewing food just as fuel and not enjoying it. And then I went off the deep end. I was like, oh, Taco Bell is delicious. $5 box, that's a deal. Are you kidding me?
I'm the same way, bro.
Yeah, it's hard to find the middle ground. But once you do, you start to really appreciate how you're feeling and being able to balance it. Like balance is not a destination, it's a verb.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, like a lot of people who are in the same kind of mindset as us, they fall into the same trap where, again, like you said, like you're eating food just as fuel. And I think that's a good place to be in, where like you're eating with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the other end is a lot worse when you're not like thinking at all about the kind of foods that you're eating and what it's doing to you. You're just eating it for pleasure. But yeah, I think it's like in all things in life, there's a balance, right? So
Yeah.
it's I know like what kind of things like me personally, I've been trying to experiment more with different seasonings and stuff. Like I go to Trader Joe's, like, oh, That everything bagel seasoning sounds pretty good. Maybe I'll try some of that on my chicken.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never had that stuff. Is it pretty good?
It's good, man. Yeah, it's got a little bit of garlic in it.
Hmm.
Some
Garlic's
them poppy seeds. Don't take it before a drug test, right? You got the poppy seeds.
the old Seinfeld. Yeah. All right. What's better, Seinfeld or Friends?
Oh, bruh. That goes without being said.
Let me
That's a
hear it.
clown question.
Let me hear it.
Well, I mean, Friends is definitely like just a better written show, and it's far more funnier than Seinfeld. You know, Jerry Seinfeld's not funny. He's a comedian. He's not funny. But yeah, obviously Seinfeld. And I think you could probably see in my room here. I
Oh,
got
look
a
at
little
that. Look at
zoom in
that.
right there.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's
That's the
sweet.
one.
I had my first year at university, I had a big poster of Kramer. They have like some big poster sale at school, and I'm like, okay, Kramer, this is hilarious. I love this guy. And put him on the door to walk into my apartment, and my roommate was not a happy guy. Every day just walked out looking at Kramer like looking crazy, dude, on the door. But it made my day every day.
Kramer's so damn funny.
Dude, that goes to show someone who loves their craft. Like, he was so good at playing that character. If you watch the bloopers, he gets so pissed off because no one else is taking it seriously, and he's the only one taking it seriously, and he has to be stupid like in the show. But it's so good. He's a master.
I think Seinfeld's like a good example too, where everybody in the show is funny. Like Jerry Seinfeld's funny in his own way. George Costanza, he's like everybody can kind of relate to him a little bit, like just being in
Yep.
that goofy place and stuff, and like the circumstances that he falls in. He's funny. Then Kramer just brings that goofiness, and then Elaine just kind of balances it all out,
Yep.
And so like you look at a show like Friends, like I don't want to talk crap with Friends. Like if that's what
Yeah.
you like, that's
This
what
is
you
a safe
like.
place
But
for that.
I'm personally not a fan of Friends. I've tried. Like I've had girls in the past, like you gotta watch Friends. Like all right, I'll try. And like
No.
2 3 episodes, I'm still like I'm just looking for something funny, looking for
Yep.
something to laugh at. I mean, I think like in all sitcoms, once you watch enough of it, you build a connection with those characters.
That's true.
But Seinfeld to me has just always had like something special to it.
Yeah. I think it's like doing that with my parents, watching that growing up. I watched that with my
Same,
dad a lot, and that was,
same here.
yeah. It's where the sense of humor comes from. That and Whose Line Is It Anyway? Dude, what a show.
I never seen that.
What? You're joking.
Never seen it.
Dude, you're joking. All right,
No,
cool.
I never seen
We'll
it.
move on. You're joking. All right, well, I gotta change that. It's an improv show. Drew Carey's improv show. And dude, it is hilarious, man. They have the best people on there possible. And when you look at it from a surface level, it is so funny. And no matter what level, it's funny. But when you dive into it, like the amount of creativity these guys have to perform at that level, like on the spot, no matter what, it's incredible. Guys that are good at their craft, just being creative.
Dude, stand-up comedy is like such a artistic expression. Like and yeah, like you said, like it really takes like brilliance and to be like on that level of your craft.
Yeah.
What do you think about like? I think stand-up comedy. I enjoy stand-up comedy a lot, and I just look at like the way things are nowadays, where everybody's like woke and people go after these comedians, and it's like it's a joke, bro. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about all that kind of stuff?
Oh, dude. You know I'm gonna answer that. I hate it. I hate all that with a passion. I think if you don't like it, don't watch it. I mean, everyone has their own sense of humor. I get that. But there's a lot of things out there I don't agree with that are still being put out there. I just don't watch it. I don't consume it. And yeah, people struggle to find a way to just how do I word this without getting like banned? Um People suck. Really, people just suck. People are soft. People suck. Um no one has done anything hard in the last 5 to 6 years. They just want to sit at home and have people agree with them all the time. And it's really disappointing because there are a lot of really funny people out there, a lot of things that that offend me, what should offend me, I laugh at because I'm like, this guy, his job is to make people laugh. He can't just make one section of people laugh. He wants to make everybody laugh because that's his business. Like, if you can look at things from a business perspective, it's a lot different. But yeah, like The Office, for instance, there are so many funny things that if that would never air these days, none of those episodes would air these days, and it's disappointing.
Yeah. Seinfeld's the same way. There's times I'll be watching Seinfeld. I'm like, yo, this came out today. There's no shot. They'd be going after trying to cancel them. It's I think like everybody. I mean, like it's a generation of babies. It's easy to say stuff like that, but it's like you don't have a right to not be offended. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of people forget that. Like you said, if you don't like something, then don't watch it. But yeah, you don't have a right to not get offended and like cancel something just because you don't like it.
yeah,
And even just like you think about the kind of people that people gravitate to and enjoy being around. And if you make it like a crack at one of your buddies and he gets all offended and stuff, it's like, dude, relax. Like it's no big deal. But if he comes back and makes a joke about it, maybe like doubles down, like maybe you're calling him fat. And he's like, yeah, you should see me after I have like 25 Twinkies. Like you're
yeah,
doubling down on that. That's the kind of stuff that like people were like, that's funny. That you can get along with people like that. And so, some people are just like they take things so seriously, and it just it's
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. You gotta lighten up a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just I struggle with a lot of that stuff. Um, it's weird. It's weird how it's changed so quickly. You know, um, where I feel like I don't know when we were in high school, you could just like say whatever you wanted, and okay, people were okay with it. Yeah, if someone cracked a joke, you crack one back and you just go at it with each other. But now it's you're afraid to say that because what if you get fired from your job over a joke? Like, what if you get suspended from school, kicked out of university? Get on the news for saying, like, God knows what would happen. Just ridiculous, man. And all these companies with a political agenda, like, here we go. Man, I love Guild Wars, dude. I love it. I know you love it. We both love it. What a world we got lost in, making a podcast about it. That was it, man. We have the second game launch. It was okay. But whenever the company starts to fail, like what do they resort to? They resort to drawing people in because they're going to be on the right side of history, whatever that means for anything. It's not about the game anymore. It's about politics. It's about what is a hot topic? What can we change the profile picture to? It's not about the game anymore. It's just about driving dollars. Which, again, going back to Whose Line or Seinfeld or The Office, it wasn't really about driving the dollars. It was about like the message behind it. And that's what we lose. ArenaNet lost the message of what the game was. They lost the message of what they spent like a decade working on. Hence why a lot of the people that built that first game are no longer there. It just sucks. It sucks seeing so many things change just because of the dollar, which let's talk about the Federal Reserve. but, but it just, man, it's disheartening. Like, who knew we'd be living in this time? Like, everything's ramped up so quickly. I thought, man, 2040, 2050, sure, we'll be living in some weird times. Not 2023. A little soon.
Yeah, I think too with the companies and stuff like it's like a lot of companies are following that same path, and there's something to be said about not giving in to terrorists, right? I think a lot of companies are afraid of if they offend these specific groups of people who get offended by everything, then like they're going to come after them, they're going to get canceled. And again, like you don't want to when you do that, that's a dangerous bridge to cross because there's almost no going back. right? Because once you cross that, now you are
Yep.
totally and completely like confined into the boundaries that those people set on you. And it's a trap that a lot of people are falling into. I think now like people are pushing back and look like in Florida, right, with Ron DeSantis and they're like Disney's like kind of like getting the shaft, right? And I think rightfully so. And Disney's a great example of a company too that's catered to the wokeness and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I got another question for you. We talked about modern civilization a couple times. It's about 1,000 years, right? What do you think is the start of that? What is the start of our modern civilization?
I guess like yeah, modern civilization. I would say like in the past, as we know it, past 100 years, right? Like you look at the start of the steam engine, and that gave because before that everything is like done by hand, right? Or like
Mhm.
everything's done like with a ship, right? You want to cross the seas, you got to go in the direction of the wind. You got to use a sail. So everything's done like through mechanisms like that. But then you get like the steam engine. Now you're using another source of energy other than what's naturally available, like the wind or whatever. And that just opened the door for vehicles, cars. Then you have electricity.
Yeah.
And so I think like modern civilization, it's so new. But I guess depending on how you want to define it, you could go back to like when civilizations first started coming together. You have people coming together, forming cities, and you have like governments. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but I would say like modern, like when we think of how we think of it is like 100 years.
Yeah. It's amazing how we go from that to the cell phone, the smartphone, self-driving cars, artificial intelligence. Dude, what a time. What are your thoughts on that?
On self-driving cars.
No, AI.
I'm not too worried about it personally.
Really?
Yeah,
You don't think it's sentient yet?
nah, I don't think so. You look at like they don't understand shit about the brain.
I'm just messing.
Do
I
you
hope
think, do
it's
you
not
think it's
sentient
sentient?
yet. Do what?
Do you think it's sentient?
Hope not. I don't know, dude. We've talked about it at work a few times, and just thinking like we've gone down some rabbit holes about talking about it. Like, well, what's gonna happen next? What about this? And of course, we'll ask Chat GPT some funny questions. We're like, all right, this is sketch.
Oh, well, ChatGPT is definitely sentient. Yeah,
But it's all based on, I guess, what we give it, right? Isn't it based
yeah,
on essentially like search engine stuff up to a certain time point? At least Chat GPT 3 was. I heard GPT 4 is nuts. I think
yeah.
it just came out recently. Um, yeah. So you don't think it's sentient, huh? Interesting.
No, I don't think so. I don't think like they've done things like they tried mapping an ant's brain. I think it was an ant or a mice or a mouse. It was one of those two. They tried mapping its brain. I think it was an ant. And like in order to map like 1/1000th of the amount of the size of the thing to like map every single neuron on a computer program, it took like 500 gigabytes or no, it wasn't even like it was some insane number. I don't know. It was just like a crazy amount of space that like if you wanted to map a human's brain and every single neuron on it, you would need every single hard drive in the world, every single computer in the world, and times it by 1,000. Like that's
Hmm.
how insane how insanely complex the human brain is. So I think we are so far away from getting to that point. I mean, like I guess again, where do you define sentience? Like
True.
what is your definition of that? But I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about too like I think like taking humans' jobs. Like some people are going to lose jobs to artificial intelligence, 100%. But I think at the end of the day, there's human creativity, and I don't think artificial intelligence will be able to accurately like if you tell like ChatGPT to make up a joke, like it's going to find a joke on the internet, but it's not going to be able to make up its own joke. So stuff like that.
Yeah, the intuition, the creativeness of human beings. Yeah, that's the beauty of us. The soul, right? That's the beauty of us. Um, last thing, we talked about being a master of your craft. Talk to me about these guitars behind you.
I got a couple guitars here. There's one over here too. This
Oh,
is Fender Stratocaster.
The old
My
Strat.
favorite, my best guitar is under my bed. It's a Taylor 810.
Ooh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, I got to use. It was still a pretty penny, but definitely worth it. Like if you're a guitar fan, to get a good quality acoustic, it's gonna make a difference.
Taylor's
But
amazing.
yeah, do you have a Taylor guitar?
No, I've got an Alvarez acoustic, and I've got an Epiphone Les Paul, which still sounds pretty good. I've always told I could just change out the pickups and it essentially be a Gibson, but I got it in high school, paid for it with my own money, working at the grocery store, making $8 an hour, which was pretty hot for that time. But working like 6 hours a week, so I had to save up for a hot minute.
Yeah,
What about the other guitars? You got two other acoustics, a ukulele, and another electric back there.
that red guitar. Yeah, that's like it's a chord. It's like basically it's a knockoff Fender, and the reason I have that is it was my first guitar.
Got to keep that sentimental.
So yeah, it's getting to the point though. Like I'm becoming a bit of a minimalist. So I'm thinking like it's broken. It doesn't even work. So I just keep it up there as like for show. But like there's things I have and I'm like I don't use them, and like maybe it's better just to sell it, get rid of it, make some space, make some money. But yeah, there's the ukulele there. That's just like I just fool around on that sometimes. I can play a couple songs. Um, this was my first electric acoustic.
Nice.
That is a Ibanez.
Ooh,
So
nice.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
my beater guitar. I can take it anywhere. And then I have this is also up here on the wall, just a Yamaha finger picking guitar. So it's got
That's
a
what I
nice.
started with, like a Yamaha nylon string, just nice guitar. But Ibanez makes some sweet electric stuff. They've
I
really,
haven't played with their electric stuff too much.
I mean, I haven't picked up a guitar in a hot minute, and I need to start there. They're around here in the office, but yeah, dude, I miss playing. I know you yeah, you need to put up some more stuff of you playing. Man, you're good, dude.
Thanks, bro.
Singing away, picking and grinning. Oh yeah, having a good time.
It's a fun hobby. I really enjoy it. Um, but yeah, that's the extent of it. Like I enjoy it. I don't, I have no plans of like trying to make money off it or anything. I think stuff like that, like everybody wants to become a musician, like
Mm-hmm.
especially with rap. Everyone wants to be a rapper. So the market is so saturated. If you were going to take off, like it would take a ton of luck.
Yeah,
I think a better principle is like, you know, follow your passions for your hobbies, but like for your career and stuff, like solve a problem, like do something
that's good.
that society needs. Um, Look for that kind of aspect because like I think following your passion is terrible advice. And I even think sometimes like, I've been playing guitar for, I mean, as long as I've known you and longer.
Yeah.
And there's times I wonder, like, if I played like every single day and I was writing songs, and even if I was getting paid for it, like, would I begin to enjoy it less? So, and it makes you wonder too. Like, you look at like some of these like movie stars. Like, you think there's days where Brad Pitt goes in and he's like, man, I really don't feel like working today.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, of
And
course, you had to pretend to be somebody else. That's a hard job. I mean, for some
good point.
people. Yeah, I view that too as when I would stream on Twitch years ago. He killed playing games. You felt like you had to do it to content. And the best times were when you're starting out, getting viewers just playing whatever you wanted, and then your viewers want to play games with you, and then it just gets on this weird thing. And now look what Twitch has developed into. It's disgusting. I mean, it's ridiculous. Um, yeah, another issue with society, but
Yeah.
so you're becoming a minimalist. I see that with the white tee. I like it. How's that process going?
Playing white tees. Hey there, Delilah. You know the drill.
Oh yeah, but how's that journey
Nah,
going?
it's like it's not like I'm not like a super minimalist. I'm just kind of like just looking at things. Um, Again, like if there's something that you don't use, what's the point of having it taking up space? Then when you move, it's just gonna be another pain in the butt. Something you got to move with you. I think it's a good idea to try to uh, have as least amount of stuff that you need. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
and that way you're mobile. Like if there was like say if you needed to move or um, Yeah. So I'm not like on a minimalist journey, but I think it's a good principle
Okay.
to think about.
Yeah, I see a lot of people making that move, and then of course, they see the YouTube title, "No longer a minimalist." After that's what they brand around. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then it's just some clickbait thing. But last question for you, bud. Well, two more. Sorry, two more questions. So, little bookshelf over there. What are your top books over there? You recommend people to read?
I would say 48 Laws of Power, and I'm not sure if you read that book,
Oh
but
yeah,
there's definitely
got
there's
it right over there. And the Daily Laws.
there,
And uh, I I could have sworn I had another Robert Greene book, but guess I don't.
I also have the Laws of Human Nature, and I haven't read it yet. I mean, I've read bits of it. I think it was his most recent book, and it's kind of in the same vein as 48 Laws of Power. So like, I think with the 48 Laws of Power, some people look at it like it's very Machiavellian, and it's like looking at throughout history and what different people have done. So there are some Machiavellian principles to it, and it's just saying like, hey, look, like this is a law of power. Like this is something that's been used with people to have power and influence over other people throughout history. And I think at the very least, like if you don't implement that, you can still recognize that kind of behavior in other people. So it's just like such an eye opener in personal relationships, business, career, all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely say 48 Laws of Power. Uh, I think another great one is What Every Body is Saying.
Hmm.
And that is from a FBI agent. And basically the background of the story is uh, he just noticed that like your body, I mean, a lot of people have heard this, and like it's like 70 or 90% of all communication is nonverbal. And so he just like he noticed different things throughout his career of people like, if somebody's sitting and they're telling their story of a crime or something, and they're sitting all nervous and they're shaking, it's obvious like there's something up with that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just goes into detail. It talks about things like crossing your leg, like crossing legs, and it talks about like things conveyed in the facial expressions, things conveyed in the torso, your hands. If somebody's sitting there, like this is a pretty powerful kind of pose that conveys that somebody's confident. So it's good to like recognize behavioral patterns with the body and other people, and then also yourself, like what you're communicating. And you asked for the top three. Was that what it was?
It was just top books, yeah.
I guess the third one. I think. I think I would say David Goggins Can't Hurt Me.
Is that his
That's
new one?
that's not his new one. That was his first one.
Okay. I haven't read
But
any of his stuff. I need to. I mean, he's such a dude. What a guy.
super entertaining. Like it's like just reading him, and like you're reading his writing, and like you're hearing it in his voice, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's really funny too. So I think that's a good one. But another one too is Rich Dad Poor Dad. Come on,
Yeah. Everyone
Bobby
needs to read that.
Kiyosaki.
Do what?
Bobby
Oh,
Kiyosaki.
yeah.
How could you forget him?
I thought you said something else. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a staple. Now, last question. What's in that watch box over there, bud? I see that. I got the same watch box. That's how I know that's what that is.
Uh, I'm not gonna brag about my watches. I mean, I have a Tisset, which is it's like the cheapest authentic Swiss kind of watch you can get. I have a couple Psychos. I don't have anything crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a Rolex at some point, just like
As a
as an
staple.
investment.
It's not about, having the most expensive watch, but it is something like there's heritage behind that, right? It's something you can pass down. The art of timekeeping and watchmaking is pretty insane. Um, when we went to New York City in 2020, literally a week before everything shut down, which I'm glad I got to see it before the world changed. But we went into the Watches of Switzerland store, and I was like, I never thought I'd be able to afford a cool watch or anything like that. But went in there, I'm like, I just want to look around, like Rolex, like dude, a Rolex, that's insane. Like, oh my god, that's what rappers talk about, man. That's what big CEOs wear. I go in there and just looking around. The guy's like, Yeah, we got a lot of cool watches, but the profession is drying up. And actually, here's like a brochure in my card. If you're ever interested in going to watchmaking school, Rolex will pay for it and hire you right on. What? What do you mean? This stuff isn't done by like, machines? He's like, no, a lot of this stuff is done by hand. I'm like, that is awesome. Again, a craft, right? And I just think having that, wearing a watch and having it it's a nice thing. It's another accessory that I think just completes the look, but also it's a outward expression, right? Because you can wear different clothes every day, but unless you're got a bunch of different watches, you're gonna find a watch that you feel like kind of speaks about who you are. And I think that's pretty interesting when I see people have different watches and ask them about them and the why behind that. Um, it's cool. It's cool. Let me see the Otisot.
Let me grab it. Yeah, I think that's. I agree, bro. Like, I think there's something artistic and about like
Look at that,
washwork
dude. That's nice.
matches with the suits. So,
Yep, I was gonna say that is a clean watch.
but yeah, I do agree. I think like watches are beautiful and the craftsmanship that goes into it. One thing, like I hate materialism, and I hate like people like, oh, got to get like this expensive name brand. Like I'm the kind of person. Why would I buy a shirt that's exact same quality as another shirt that's like a fourth the cost
Yep.
just because it's a name brand? Like I don't care about like trying to impress anybody for that. And I think society too, like today's, it's so consumed by materialism, and it's a major pitfall, frankly, of
100%.
society. But you are right. I think they're like with watches, there's definitely something beautiful to them.
Yeah, especially when we have that story. My thing is I want to have several different watches that commemorate times in my life that I can pass down to my kids, my grandkids, and it means something, right? Like that. Hopefully, it'll hold its value decently well, depending on how our world unfolds in the coming time. But there's just something cool about that, man. Just getting stuff passed down, and hopefully, the generations after me will be very proud to wear things that their father, grandfather, great grandfather bought and thought were pretty cool. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
100%. Think about how cool that would be if you had a watch from like your great grandfather
Yeah,
right now.
exactly.
That would be my prized possession.
Exactly. And that's what I want to start. I want to start having that heritage of the family, the heirlooms, I can't guarantee them that they'll have $1 billion and a bunch of money in a trust fund, but hey, you got something that, worst case scenario, hope you never have to sell it, but if it's life or death, here you go. Go take care of the family. But well, dude, thanks so much for chatting with me, man. It's always a pleasure, dude.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it was a fun time.
So how can people follow you, connect with you, chat with you, hear more about eating testicles?
So I guess like my Instagram is at j.bills. That's jay.bils. I actually, like I said, I deleted Instagram off my phone. Just like I find that you waste a lot of time. Like when you have something that like distracts you, like just remove it. It's better. But I still check on my computer, so you can follow me on there. I have a Facebook too, Jeff Bilski. Connect with me if you have questions about anything like that. I definitely enjoy it. So send me a message.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, dude. I will hit you up soon, man. Have a good rest of
Thank
your
you,
day.
brother. Yeah, you too.